my journey in Agoda was very much through the data. And I think if you look at the transition we made in the last 12 years, it's really about a place to do your travel. We make choices in ways that we feel that we still maintain our control.
In all this, how much of a role is AI and machine learning playing?
I don't want to hire an AI engineer and say, you build like all the AI apps. I want everybody to become an AI engineer. I do think that like when we talk about the new Gen AI that came out about 3 years ago, that is a transformative change.
As the CTO, what is that one thing that scares you?
Eventually it's like, you're captain of a ship. And what scares me is not to be the Titanic. If tomorrow I find myself not able to sustain and maintain and run my own infrastructure, I'll just move it to the cloud. And it will be like, if you will not evolve, you will lose your job. They don't say, oh, it's either me or the AI. It's me using the AI.
How much is Agoda spending on AI innovation?
Customers expect more and more.
What is the big picture for Agoda?
Can we finally make it fun? Can we finally make it easy and stressless?
First of all, thank you, Dan, for being here. It's great having you here. Let's just start very casually and just delve into what Agoda is doing at the moment and what your role is at the company. You took the mantle of CTO in 2022, but you've been with the company since 2014.
Yes, correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's start with that.
Sure.
What the company is doing and what your role has been in the company.
Sure thing. So yes, as you mentioned, I started with Agoda since 2014. It's been a long period, but I'm very thankful for it. I grow a lot myself, but also to see the company grow from what it was to what it is today was just an amazing process to witness.
Right.
So I think that if you look at what Agoda was and what it is today and look at that journey, then it really was a place where you can find hotels and book them. Basically, that's it, right? And I think that, and the key was just that, like, how do we make sure we have the hotels, get them signed on, people can book them? And I think if you look at the transition we made in the last 12 years, it's really about a place to do your travel end to end. And this is where we're continuing to go. That's the journey we are on. Sometimes we call it a connected trip. But if you look at the different things we do, and you will see different things, but there is actually a connection between them, where we're trying to become a place for travel in the most generic and general way you could imagine. We see ourselves as an application or a platform that you can really get inspired, plan, find hotels, activities, other types of accommodation, flights, etc., and really bring travel home. We want people to feel comfortable, to feel confident, to have a stressless and seamless experience when they plan and book their trips. And this is where we're going, and I can talk about many different things we do, but that's really kind of like the line that connects all of them. And of course, we've always been known, and we work hard on just making sure you have the best prices and making sure that the experience is not only seamless and stressless, but it also feels local. It feels like the stuff that you would expect as a local to whatever country you are on to be using, if it's payments, if it's about the languages we support. So this is, I think, binds a lot of the different efforts that we do.
Your role as a CTO in the company, how has that been and how has that transformed over the last few years?
Yeah, so it wasn't an easy choice. It's a lot of responsibility. So definitely I knew the company very well. I've been for at that point in time for like almost 10 years. But it's a big jump, and my journey in Agoda was very much through the data side of the tech. I started with a small team on some machine learning project that we brought into Agoda from my previous company that was purchased. And then we started to build this kind of like, how do we even address data, big data, and to the level of today where we collect 12 petabytes a month, we have about 2.5 trillion messages every day. So this journey of growing up with data was very good, I think, for Agoda and for myself to grow in that sense. And always, even before I started, that there was a conception in Agoda that we should follow data and science. We should do things in the scientific way, which for me also, from my background from physics and so forth, always made a lot of sense.
Okay.
So this growth through data, I think, brought me into a situation where kind of like I was already involved in a lot of the decision making and really in how the company wants to operate. So in that sense, I felt very comfortable. But of course, the responsibility of taking ownership over the entire tech domain wasn't an easy jump. But again, I'm very grateful. I have a great team. I have great leadership, very supportive. And I felt if there's a place you can do something that you feel like, wow, this is a little scary, this is a little much, this would be the place. And I think that I think is the thing I feel thankful the most for in Agoda.
You also mentioned, and we know this, we have been tracking Agoda's growth from just being a platform for booking hotels to homestays, to flights, and now to offering a holistic one-stop shop.
Exactly.
It is very data intensive.
Correct.
It's very data intensive. How does the tech part come into play here? And if you could also give us a brief overview of how Agoda's tech stack looks like at the moment.
Sure. So data is critical in these things, right? Definitely, like when you build so many products and you try to create an experience that altogether makes sense to a person, it's very hard. It's very hard because the mental load that I put on the consumer can easily be overwhelming. Mm-hmm. I have tons and tons of information. Which one should I show you, right? So not knowing how to test and be able to experiment with different ways to present things, a different way to structure things, and very quickly learn what people like, what they don't like, what they understand, what they don't understand, is critical in this situation. So that's why we built a very extensive data platform. We actually run at any point in time about 1,000 experiments. So you don't feel it as a user, but actually there's 1,000 experiments. And when you in a reasonable just go through the platform, you will witness about 70 of them. So you will see there's 70 different experiments of A/B testing, where you might be on A, on B, and so on. And if you actually calculate the numbers, you'll see that no two people has ever had the exact same experience on Agoda platform, because there's so many combinations of different things we try that it just it creates too many options versus like how many people are on there for what not. But looking at this data, analyzing it, allows us to make the choices that eventually are better for our customers.
Okay.
So that's where data comes in. Data eventually enable us to make, informed decisions, and that's the important thing. Definitely, when you spread, if you have a simple product, you can use common sense. You can talk to people about every change you do. I do a change once a month. When you do 1,000 changes concurrently across flights and hotels and all these different platforms, you have to have a method to how you do your decision making. So I think that's very important. If you talk about our stack on a very technical level, so I think we are quite unique, I would say, or let's say rare, that we actually don't use the cloud.
Okay.
So we are very much on-prem. We always have been. We always get asked about this.
This is something I will come to later, but
okay.
Yes.
So that's just part of the stack. So for me, the stack starts at like at the server level,
okay.
Because that's also part of my responsibility. But we are very much a Kubernetes and so forth to how we coordinate. If you talk about the software itself, we are quite JVM today, quite almost entirely JVM. We've been moving between the JVM languages. We were very strong on Scala. Up to a couple of years ago, over the time trying to move more to Kotlin, but we also have pure Java as well. But we like the JVM world because again, you have some, we love open source and open-source.jvm, and also it's you have a few options there. It's less opinionated, it's less controlled by one company, so we definitely like that. Website-wise, we use React. Kind of the common thing today, right? We do have a bit of a push on the technical sense to move more, even on the app, to move more experiences to run with web technology. We have a lot of faith and a lot of belief in web technology eventually becoming the only way to present things to the user. So that's something we've often been pushing and gives us a lot of velocity.
Okay. I'll rephrase the question a little bit. What would you say are the key pillars for Agoda's tech stack at the moment?
Okay, so I would say that I think on the backend side, we are very heavy on Kafka, like 2.5 trillion messages a day on Kafka. I think it's, last time we talked to Confluent, they own kind of like, the enterprise version of it. They said we are one of the largest clusters they are familiar with. So very much into having a distributed, we also run 4 data centers. So having the ability to distributively like send data from side to side without without concerns. We use big data technologies. Again, since we're on-prem, we have to make our own choices. But what we try to do is to make sure that our protocols are standard. So for example, the way we store big data, we use vast data. I don't know if you heard about them, Israeli startup, quite big now. But the thing is, the expose for us is the S3 protocol. So you use the same protocol that you would use on the cloud, but you use it with proprietary technology. And that allows you, we'll talk later about the cloud, allows you to basically not feel like you're locked into a specific vendor. So it's more like when you ask about the stack, I think it's more about the guidelines, right? And it's really about the fact that we make choices in ways that we feel that we still maintain our control.
Okay.
So when we choose a database, when we choose the messaging technology, and when we choose the data storage, I think it's important when you build a tech organization to try not to make 100 different solutions to the same problem. So if you have you need the OLTP engine, you don't need both Postgres and MS SQL and MySQL. You don't need to have all of them. Choose the one that you really want to be an expert. Go deep. Choose some technologies and go deep on them. And choose the one that, at least from the outside, looks standard, meaning protocol-wise. Because then if you change to something else, nobody has a complex migration path.
In all this, how much of a role is AI and machine learning playing?
Yeah. So I started Agoda with machine learning myself. So I'm, for me, it's close to my heart. And having all this data, the machine learning is also another way you can definitely take advantage of it in real time to improve the customer experience, right? For example, we've been improving our ranking algorithms for this entire time, like more than a decade, starting from simple algorithms, and today we use basically similar to what LLMs use with transformer architecture in our ranking. So these areas have been growing and maturing, and we always, again, since we have this experimentability, we know that we're actually creating value. We know we're creating more relevant recommendation to the user from version to version. I do think that, like when we talk about the new Gen AI that came out about 3 years ago, that is a transformative change.
Okay.
And it's very big for us, something we, from the start, like 3 months, I think, after, October 22, when ChatGPT came out, we already had a big hackathon, had 300 developers working on it. Today, we have about 150 different use cases of Gen AI in the company. So it was very important for us, I'm a huge believer in it, to make sure that we take advantage of it as early and as widely as possible, both internally. So we started from the employee level, giving everyone access, essentially, to Gen AI, to play with it, in their tools, in their efficiency, wherever they need it, it's there to help them, but also to expose it to customers in different ways.
You mentioned that Agoda's stack is unique at the moment, and the way you're implementing AI and machine learning. How is it different from your competitors and especially your sister companies, let's say from Booking or from Expedia? How?
Yeah. So first of all, I think the uniqueness is mostly on the cloud that I mentioned, that we run on-prem. I think none of our sister companies are there in that level. Some of them are half-half, and some of them are, but more towards the cloud. We're actually quite happy to stay where we are in that sense and continue to develop our own platform. And I think, again, that's our story. Our story is always about do it yourself and move fast. So when we talk about other companies, and again, I can't specifically note about some of them, but I can tell you that we are we like to run fast and experiment. We like to build many things and see what works. So when you look at like the kind of variety of solutions we have around, for example, Gen AI, I think it's one of the higher. If you look across companies, not even just in travel, I think that the way that the company of our size has kind of like just dived into it and said like, we want to see it all over the place. I don't want to hire an AI engineer and say, you build like all the AI apps. I want everybody to become an AI engineer. And that kind of, I think, mindset, I think for us is quite extreme. Let's say, I don't know, it's unique, but it's, let's say, it's more on the extreme side. We have a passion for innovation that I'm not sure is that easy to find in companies of this type.
Okay. Now we enter the cloud versus on-premise debate. You've been known to have a hard stance on this debate.
Yeah.
You prefer on-premise as compared to cloud?
So look, I want to make it clear, like it's not so much about cloud versus on-prem. Like for me, it's like I have a thing against the cloud.
Okay.
It's about like avoiding the dogmatic truth, oh, you have to be on the cloud, or, it will be cheaper and faster and everything will be amazing. I think, first of all, if you want to be successful, you need to control your technology. Understand exactly what it does. It's not running on fairy dust, it's somebody else's servers eventually. So you have to understand what is the choice you're making. Why are you making it? What's the problem you want to solve? Does it solve your problem? And you have to ask these questions very carefully and come from a level of expertise where you understand all these things. And what really bothers me is companies that don't go through this step. When we look at the cloud and we say, should we move to the cloud? We ask, why? What are we trying to solve? Is it going to make it cheaper? Is it going to make us run faster? And then we go and do tests. And we did this test many, many times with all the major providers. And we see, well, it's definitely not cheaper. It's actually way more expensive for us. And secondly, that we see that when you look at the velocity and all the tooling that comes out of it, there's a bit, I think, of a trap there, because the cloud makes it very easy to onboard new tools and new technologies. Okay. But it makes it very hard to offboard. So what you see a lot when companies go kind of the cloud and every team can just use whatever service they want, a few years later, some of these services get shut down. Some of them get sold to another company. Eventually, now you're essentially like every one of these like a line around you, and you are pulled by all these kind of lines and ropes that hold you, and you cannot do anything because you're depending on 5 different services that might or might not build the features you want. And these guys are now being sold, so then you have to migrate out because the service is shutting down. So now your entire agenda as a team is actually dictated by someone else. So it's really, for us, it's more about know what you're doing, know why you're doing it, and make sure you're in control. Now, if that means you want to run the cloud, that's totally fine with me. I know no bother. And sometimes maybe you don't want to go through the hassle of setting up a data center, sure, and you're willing to pay a bit more, sure. But this just letting teams to just go across all services, all technologies, without understanding what they're using, without understanding what's the long-term implication of kind of onboarding to this new technology or service, that's where I think companies should put more effort and more thinking on.
So right now, what is the split between on-prem and on-cloud?
Our cloud is almost zero.
Almost zero?
Almost zero. We use it sometimes for some of the CI, for the continuous integration we use sometimes because it's spiky, during the day. You do need, so some of the upside that they do exist in the cloud is you can go up and down to some extent, right? Okay. So when you do testing and such, it does have these spikes, so we just offload to them. But really, for me, it's like the point was to make it a no question. The point was to make it, I'll build it on top of Kubernetes, I'll build it on top of S3 protocol. We're building everything in such a way that we can easily move whatever workload we want to a cloud. For me, it's immaterial. It's just how much the servers cost here, how much the server cost there. But I think that the real mistake, again, is companies thinking that somehow they have a very problematic setup. They have a lot of issues. Their data is a mess. And then they say, okay, let's move to the cloud. This is not like they're gonna, it's not a magic pill. Mm-hmm. They're just gonna take a mess here and run it on the cloud. So I think for us, the focus has always been make sure we love what we have. We love the architecture, the way things are set up, the microservices, the deployments, the data is structured in the right way. And then if you want to run these things on the cloud, we can always do it. We want to have a data center closer to some of our customers, and we feel like we don't want to engage with the company to actually get some space, but instead run on AWS or Azure. Yeah, we can do it. We can do it tomorrow morning. Making it a non-question, I think that was the really big jump. And then it's you are in control again.
Where are your data centers located at the moment?
So today we have one in Singapore, okay. We have one in Ashburn, one in Amsterdam, and one in Hong Kong.
Okay. You mentioned that it's going to hyperscalers, which is right now the trend. Azure,
yes,
or Amazon Web Services.
Sure.
It's more pricey.
Yes.
Costs more. But isn't the trade-off equal? Because then if you maintain your own data centers, own servers, the upkeep, the maintenance, what about that?
We compare those costs. We actually do a lot of, we built our own kind of cost platform. Okay. Well, every usage, so every team that uses cores on top of our Kubernetes, on top of our servers, everything gets measured. Usage of data gets measured. You get a bill, almost like you run on AWS, you get a bill from us to say, oh, this is how much you use and this is how much it costs. But if you look at the unit cost that we pay on our own. When we calculate the cost of the server over 5 years and the cost of the electricity, everything is getting calculated. We're talking a big factor, like 2x, 3x factor from how much it would cost on the cloud. And of course, we pay the price that we have to maintain all these levels. Don't get me wrong, it's work and it's hard work, but we've been very lucky that we managed to have a great team across these layers to manage these things. And I think that's also some companies, definitely in more, I would say, competitive kind of landscapes, would say, like, I cannot get someone to manage Kubernetes cluster at this size. We have about 600,000 CPU cores. So to have the right people that can handle this level of infrastructure is not trivial, and I get why companies find it scary. And to be honest, that's also a risk for us. But that's why the strategy is not to say we're on-prem and we don't want to hear about this cloud anymore. No, we're running on-prem today, but we run it in a portable way. If tomorrow I find myself not able to sustain and maintain and run my own infrastructure, I'll just move it to the cloud, and it will be like...
You have stated this in the past, in many media interactions, that, you believe that AI and machine learning is not there to replace the human element.
Yeah.
It is there to facilitate them, to help them be more productive.
Yes.
Could you explain a bit more on this approach?
Yeah,
because the world seems to go in a different way. We are clearly seeing mass layoffs thanks to AI.
Yeah, so for sure. And again, it's very, very reproducible across all of history. All technological breakthroughs have looked exactly the same. The job definition that it was changes. So if you, as a worker, define yourself by that particular job definition, then yes, it will not exist anymore. If you were making whips before cars were made, at some point, people will not, you need so many whips because everybody's driving cars, right? But if you look yourself, okay, I'm into transportation, so I can become a car mechanic, right? Okay, now you have a lot of jobs. So the point is, the individual with AI can do much more. The productivity of the person increases a lot. So that means the return of investment on the person increases a lot. So you need to think to yourself, every one of us, and this is what we strongly encourage in Agoda, and this is why we brought AI so hard into the company, to make sure everybody can go through this transformation. They don't say, oh, it's either me or the AI. It's me using the AI. And look what I can do now. And the productivity grows. And now in companies like Agoda, look, if a company says, this is my work to do, so if I needed 100 people, now I need to do 50, yeah, that company might say, okay, I can lay off half of the people. But Agoda doesn't say, I have this work to do. Agoda says, I have infinity work to do. There's no end to what we want to do. So if we get more productive, that's even better, because we can hire more people, because those people can now, each one of them has a larger return on investment.
Yes, absolutely. But I feel if we go to the bottom line, I guess we're seeing one of the biggest revolutions in the tech space in human history, and that revolution is translating into people losing their jobs.
For sure. Again, if you will not evolve,
and it's happening very quickly.
If you will not evolve, you will lose your job. And I'm saying it to my team, I'm saying to my developers, and you can ask them every week. I say, guys, if you don't lean into this, if you don't learn how to work with coding assistants and all the things, and we gave them all of them and all the if you don't learn, you will become irrelevant, because a developer that knows how to master these tools will be 10, 20 times faster than you. What would be the point of any company to hire you when the standard is 10, 20 times faster than you? So definitely agree with you. People are losing their jobs in those cases where they're not involved and the company doesn't take the effort to evolve them into utilizing AI to produce the value. But still, we are the one in control. There is no company, no place I know where AI runs the entire company end to end. There's no humans there. So it's always about, it's a tool eventually.
Okay. What is your strategy? What is Agoda's strategy for market expansion at the moment? You have a major presence in the Asia market.
Yeah.
What is the strategy going forward to expand this?
Yeah.
Expand that share? And also a small follow-up, what is the India story?
Yeah. So I don't want to be too accurate on this, because it's not so much my area, the business side of it. I would say definitely we're excited about India. We invest in localization and pricing in every market. To that market, even on the marketing side, maybe you saw some of our adverts with Ayushman. So we try to really make sure that we speak in the language and in what interests that particular travel. In India, that means UPI, it means installments, it means customer support in WhatsApp. So making it really comfortable. Soon we will have Hindi also as well supported. So really about making sure that we have all the supply and all the payments and everything that makes it comfortable. So definitely India is one of the biggest market that we are excited about and see the growth, a lot of it coming naturally from the growth of the country and the economy. We see a lot of destination growth to Japan. That's kind of the most exciting one. But of course, Thailand is the gold kind of like location as well. So India is a big one. There's a few other markets that's kind of like exciting for us and growing. And, we have our core market, more Southeast Asia, like Thailand and, Thailand, Singapore, that we remain a key player. So I think, that's mostly, I don't know, like to give you the exact numbers at this point, but I think that's maybe more for.
Will you be able to share the exact market share figures for Asia at least? No. Okay. You mentioned that you are enabling your workforce to be more AI literate.
For sure.
Right?
Yes.
You are a big promoter of your workforce getting to know AI, playing with it, messing with it.
Yes.
Right? How is if you could share a few examples, what kind of AI applications has Agoda implemented in the workforce, in the whole workflow?
Yes, for sure.
That would be great.
A lot. So it's a long story. I probably won't be able to cover them all. But first of all, I think it's important to give it in the fingertips of the employee. What I mean by that is wherever they are, AI needs to come and be there with them. So if we talk about our Slack, we built our Slack bot basically 2 weeks after AI came out. There already was a Slack bot that you can talk to, you can invite to channels, you can ask it to summarize conversations, summarize friends. We have a meeting bot. So every meeting, there's a summary action items delivered by GenAI. There we have GenAI platform. It's kind of like, almost like ChatGPT, but it's cross-provider. So we built it ourselves from scratch. But you can chat there, you can have assistant, like GPTs, you can upload documents, you can build projects. So you can work entire workflows with that GenAI, and you can choose whatever model you want to work from, whatever provider, Google, Anthropic, OpenAI, whatever you want. You also put it in the browser. So we actually built like an extension that we auto-deploy for every employee on the browser. So they open it up and you can talk. We have no, out of tokens, no limitations. The more you use it, it's fine with us.
Okay.
And we just look at it and catalog the usage to understand, and we get people satisfaction and so forth. So we have teams that all they do is build and make sure that people are happy. And we reached an 80% monthly active users from the entire company, including everyone, including support agents, everyone. We're talking about 80% usage of it, of GenAI in those kind of tools. And then in some cases, we build even specific tools. So our support agents have GenAI tools in their workflows where they write messages to customers. They have GenAI there. They can optimize the message or help it to elaborate a little, help them to summarize the case. So everywhere where people are, we put GenAI in their hands.
Okay. Are any of these models your own proprietary models that you have?
So we didn't build foundational, but we have fine-tuned models for certain use cases. Definitely in customer support, there's like repeated question like, has this hotel accepted the cancellation, for example? When you have a cancellation request to hotel, we actually had to fine-tune a specific model to be able to understand what was the answer from the hotel, for example. So we do that kind of stuff sometimes. Yeah.
How much is Agoda spending on AI innovation?
So it depends, like talking developers. So I think we have, about, all in all, we have maybe about 100 people that like build innovation of AI in different ways, in different teams for different purposes. And we're spending, I don't know if I can say how much we're spending, but it's more than hundreds of thousands.
Okay, so you wouldn't be able to share an exact figure for?
No, I don't know if that's
the annual R&D budget or something.
It's not. I don't even have a budget. Like they tell me like there's just an assumption that every dollar spent there has a high ROI, because like you offloaded something from a person that you would have done manually to be done by a machine. Even in the more expensive models, it's almost always a good ROI. So we tell people just to use, and then we look and see, oh, there's an opportunity you use a more expensive model than you need here. So like, it's like our whole approach is not like you have to validate everything with 10 different committees every time. Our approach is do it, and then we monitor and optimize.
And you became CTO in 2022,
sure.
But still, let's take the last 5 years, right? What were the major trends that you have seen in the market?
So I think customers expect more and more.
That's for sure. Like, so if like they expect to have all the information, they expect to have detailed understanding of how their travel is going to be. If the room, can I put my car in the garage? Can I get like late checkout? So they move more and more of their expectation to the online, and they expect a holistic experience. Definitely now, we see with Gen AI, people expecting our kind of platforms to be able to help them plan, help them book across different funnels, understand if something goes wrong in my flight and what do I do with my hotel. Mm-hmm. So I think that the expectations are coming more and more of a travel agent, and versus just like we gave you a hotel, you booked it, it's you. You make sure with the hotel that everything is fine. So I think the expectations keep growing on us, as almost responsible for their travel experience.
As the CTO, as the Chief Technology Officer, what is that one thing that scares you, and the one thing that inspires you and like makes you hopeful about the future of tech overall?
Okay. So look, CTO is a large role. I have a large team. It's close to 2,000 people. Mm-hmm. And eventually it's like, you're captain of a ship. And, what scares me is not to be the Titanic, right? So how do I make sure there isn't an iceberg we are going for and I miss it? And, once, even if we find out and it's too late, it will going to take a long time to move the ship around. So a lot of my decisions and thoughts are like quite a few years ahead. And what bothers me always is like, how do I know I'm making the right decision? And that kind of connects with what inspires me and keeps me optimistic, if I can be honest. Maybe it's not exactly what you asked, but I have to say my team. And I see that, and where I see it the most is where we have incidents. Where we have big incidents. We had a very large incident, basically 2023. It was like just a few days after October 7, which was like, for me, not a trivial date. And what really inspired me is how the team just came together. It was a huge incident. They came together. Each one of them took responsibility, took ownership, which is always a word we say a lot. We say a lot in discussions: ownership. And to see how everybody rose up to the occasion and just made sure that everything works, and thought, wait, but what about this and what about that? And not just like, I did my thing, nobody can fire me for this. Like really cared. And that's what inspires me. And that's why I think humans have still a long path in building things and being part of companies. And because you can't just build things with algorithms. You need to care. You need to have this kind of like, I care about this. I will think a little beyond what you asked me. When you talk to GPT and then you ask it for something, it gives you an answer, and then you say, wait, what about this? And, oh, you're perfectly right. It's like this and that. But it doesn't feel like, it doesn't come up and says, you know what, the thing I told you yesterday, I thought about it more. We should do something else. This kind of caring that it still bothers you, that human spirit, that part of like being part of a company, I think that really inspires me.
That's a very good point you mentioned, that you can't build things only with algorithms. A small follow-up to the first point, that you're scared about being the Titanic, right? In this rapidly changing landscape due to various factors, how has the competitiveness changed in the online travel market? Because as mentioned earlier, you have a strong presence in Asia, and you are still expanding. You're looking to Europe and the US market, which by the way are also marketplaces where your sister companies have a big market share. So how has the competitiveness overall changed?
So I wouldn't say I think the competitiveness has always been fierce in travel. Travel is exciting. It's exciting financially. It's exciting as a product. So it's always been fierce. That didn't change much. We don't feel competitors so much with our sister companies. We're part of one group, and we always look to do the best for the group. But of course, thank God we have enough competitors outside of the group as well. So it's always been exciting and fast changing, companies coming out of nowhere and becoming like a big thing in their market. And then, because we also operate in so many markets where there's some local players. So it's always been fierce. I think, yes, it's true that I think with the new technology and technology changes, it's like Because we talk about all these competitors, but eventually, if you go to the app of Agoda or Booking.com or Priceline or MMT, doesn't matter. Eventually, it's kind of the same, at least from a top level, ignorantish look. It's mostly the same. You go to a homepage, you have a search page, you have a property page, you have a booking form. Now we have an opportunity to reimagine what the travel app is. And that, as I said, it's exciting and scary at the same time, because I don't know if I'm going with my Titanic towards an iceberg, or maybe I'm going to, heaven. So this is where it's exciting. I like that excitement, even if I find it scary.
What is the big picture for Agoda? Let's say in the next 5 years. Actually, these days, the landscape is changing every 3 months.
Yes.
So I'll just drop the next 5 years part. I'll just ask you, what is the big picture for Agoda going forward?
Yes. So that's what I think, as I said, bottom line with all the nice words, if you look at the actual interfaces, we are all kind of the same. And I'll be even a bit more pessimistic. Travel is not easy. It's not easy as it's not seamless. It's not fun to plan and book. It's stressful. Yeah, there's some inspiration and you're excited, but then you're making choices. Are you sure? Should I have taken this one? Should I have taken this one? Oh, now this activity is not available. Should we change the hotel? Oh, the flight. Can we finally make it fun? Can we finally make it easy and stressless? I think maybe yes. I think maybe this is the first time the technology is there to change the answer on that question. So that is the thing we are asking ourselves. Can we really be a partner to your travel in a way that you no longer worry about? And I always use the example, imagine one of those billionaires, I will not mention a specific name, but they don't have a stress from planning their trips, right? Because they have someone doing it for them. They have somebody they trust that knows them personally, knows what they like, what they want, and it comes to them and say, okay, I got everything done for you. Just choose between these things. I know you love this because of this, and you love that because of that. Just want to know what you prefer. And they don't have to worry about it because they have a person, fully paid person, just doing it for them. Imagine if we can have that kind of experience for everyone. Every consumer on earth can have that level of seamless, stressless, easy planning and booking of their trip, and also during the trip. When things happen, things change, even restaurants that you're trying to find. Everything that happens, you feel like you have someone working for you. That is where we're going.
What you mentioned is oddly similar to what Agentic AI is.
Agentic AI, I think, is a step there, and it's a bit of just a term they made up, right? But Gen AI has been moving step by step with some simple prompts, and we had function calling. That we had this idea of agents. But yes, I think that's what I mean when I say finally the technology is there. Now, what they call Agentic AI, that's kind of where we were wanting to go for a very long time, right? It's just a term for the technology, but I think it really is something that this technology is enabling, and that just comes together with what we always wanted to do. I can show you quarterly discussions from years ago when we talked about this vision. It's just the technology catching up with what we always wanted to do.
Do you have something in the works in terms of Agentic AI?
Yeah. So first of all, a lot of the things I spoke about, those tools, internal and external, are essentially agentic. But are they telling the whole story? Are they end-to-end, really travel experience end-to-end? Not yet. This is what we're working on now. So we're building pieces of it.
Okay.
You can see in our property page, you have an agent helping you just answer questions about the property. You have to build all the building. It's not like you put, you're an agent of travel, good luck. You have to build it bottoms up. A lot of functionality. It's not one agent. It's actually a swarm of agents working together. So you have to make sure you know how to build each one of them and make it high quality. Because if you make a mistake, even 1% of the time, that's a lot of people you're going to upset at the scale of Agoda.
Right.
So we have to get it right on each one of these individual functions, and then when they come to work together, we will have this magic happening.
Do you have a timeline for this? For an A to Z complete agentic experience?
No, not much that I can share.
Nothing you can share. You mentioned that going forward, if people don't get accustomed to AI, don't get familiar with AI, they lose their jobs. It's as simple as that. What's your one word of advice to people who are looking forward to get AI literate?
So look, I use like the standard ones myself, and I use a lot of what we built internally, which is not necessarily relevant for a lot of the people listening, but definitely like the proper ChatGPT or Google. These are great. These are great. If you're not using them today, use them. Doesn't matter which one. And I'm not an advocate of a particular one. If you're in the development, then there's Cursor, there's GitHub Copilot. It's very simple. Run towards it. Run toward it. I mean, I get there is this human thing where like too many changes, like burying your head in the sand. If I ignore it, maybe it goes away, kind of thing. You have to do the hard thing and get your head out of the sand and run towards the innovation, and just try to use it. Just talk to it, understand where it can help you, then learn about, okay, I have this thing I want to automate. Can I automate? Even use it. I use like ChatGPT or whatever to ask it, how can I use AI today more? Try to think about what problems you want to solve, what takes your time. Start opening up. And again, if you're a company, of course, I would very strongly recommend to be open towards it, to see how you implement it to your day-to-day. And you will see innovation just coming up like crazy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Zalzberg, for having this chat with me. It was great having you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph.